Cuffs are off, man. Get right. Too many left.
Hey everybody, Adam Rank here.
What's up, friends? Daniel Dopp here from the Fantasy Focused Football Podcast over on ESPN.
It's Fabs here, Michael Fabiano from Sports Illustrated.
Hey fans, this is AJ Dillon of the Green Bay Packers.
I got to give a shout out to y'all at Get Right Fantasy.
You know who you can trust? If you've got some questions about your fantasy squad,
If you are not subscribed, what are you waiting for? Do you want to lose your league? If you want to check out a cool show on YouTube that'll help you get ready for the fantasy football season,
check out the Get Right Fantasy Network.
check out the Get Right Fantasy Network. You got to get right with the Get Right Fantasy Network.
Best of luck with your podcast. Appreciate the support.
Get you right. Enjoy the show.
And I'm getting down cause I run my sleeves up. And I'm getting right cause I run my sleeves up. And I'm getting down cause I run my sleeves up. And I'm getting right cause I get.
What up? What up? What up, world? How's everybody doing tonight? It is Friday night, and you know what that means, as you can read below. Friday Night Mocks. Tonight, man, I am excited for this. We got my buddy right over here, Mr. Kendall Vanderbilt. What's going on, brother?
Hey, just happy to be here, man. Really, I've been feeling football this week. Sometimes it hits you at the right time where you're free and Sleeper has a nonsense highlight for you to look at. I'm like, know what? I'm in for it. Yeah, let's do it today. Yeah, I'm also going on vacation this week, so I'm in a very, very good place. Fishing trip coming. Vike, I make no promises, but hey, I'm just looking forward to drafting with you. I feel like I go on the same vacation, same week every year. So I remember doing the show last year this same time, and it was a good time. So yeah, happy to spend my Friday night with y'all.
Yes, sir. So let's get this thing started. We got a bunch of people in the chat. I'm just gonna get them all going real quick. And let me bring it up for you guys to be able to see. We got our whole group in here today. Real excited to have a lot of these guys, some newcomers, some old, some, some helping us out. I'm really excited to get this thing going. So here we go. So what we are doing tonight is a Dynasty startup. We are going to be doing it's going to be 2 wide receiver, 2 flex. It's going to be full PPR. And it's going to be 0.5 tight end premium, which is a kind of a,
halfway house on TP.
Yeah. So it's one of those things that it's going to be a very interesting thing. Sorry, just letting everybody know not to, don't forget to fill your queues. We do our best to make sure that you guys get the best views here. We don't want autos, so we want to make sure everything is good to go. We got Raven Show. What's going on, man?
Hey,
great seeing you here, my friend. He changed his name. I love seeing it, brother. Great to have you here tonight. Victorious is telling you not to snipe him.
Hey, man. Likewise, bro.
No
likewise.
Promises.
That goes both ways, Vike.
So tonight I am right next to Kendall at the 106. We got a bunch of guys in here.
Streamers back-to-back picks.
Oh,
we're going to be the guys timing out, Mike.
Most likely. No, Ravery.
Or not.
Don't ruin it.
Are you trolling?
Please.
Is he trolling? Is he going to hop in?
He had his queue filled. I remember he came in late. I've been seeing his thing go on and off. So I know he's there. He just popped back on too. So it's one of those things I always account for. I know that there's going to be some issues with internets for people and stuff. So we got 2 Lions fans. No worry. See, I knew it. It's all good, Rick. I understand it. We get it. We got 2 Lions fans with KJ Flint and good old John right next to each other. John saying what up before. So glad to have everybody in here. It's been a really fun week. Really excited to get this Memorial Day weekend started. Thanks to all the troops. Of course. Thank you, everybody. Give me that cheese. What's going on, brother? Great to have you here. If you guys have any questions, don't forget to throw them in the chat. That's what we're here for, to answer your questions. KJ, what are you doing, my guy? Are you the only guy that? Yeah, he was the only guy that didn't respond. Of course,
He was queued up though. That's hurts
Yeah.
in their ADP. So
yeah.
we'll get there. We might have to go to these 30-second clocks. We'll have to see. If you guys, we're doing the minute just mostly for tech difficulties and because we got to talk through this a little bit. But if you guys could pretend we're on 30-second picks to keep it moving if possible, I get it. If it's that
Otherwise, we're going to be here for a couple hours.
I'll tell you this: if it's a tough call, I'll put it this way: if you take over 30 seconds, do us a favor and at least pop in chat the like 2 or 3 guys you were thinking between, because we really want to hear kind of what we'll talk it out, because we'll put ourselves in that thought process a little bit. But we're quite curious if it takes the full minute. I want to know what was
what was going through you guys' head. And honestly, I mean, at this point, I was just really happy that Burrow fell to me too at the 106. I was really hoping he got there. I know I'm not going to get chased on the way back. That's fine. I'm not really too worried about it. I just wanted to have Burrow. So I'm pretty happy with that. Really happy that it got to me at that pick. KJ just popped himself back in, so that's good, which means he's around. We're just, like I said, we always anticipate at least 1 or 2, but once things get going, the app kind of gets itself back in working. So the big one to start, going with Bowers nice and early for tight end premium. I like it.
Yes, this is a pure experiment, a little bit. The thought process is this, okay? It's a mock, so we want to try out a few different things. But here's really the thought, okay? Bowers in the trading streets right now is absolutely untradeable, untouchable. And in SuperFlex, when I look at if I'm going after a certain range of quarterback or I'm going after Bowers is harder to get.
Okay.
Like in a very interesting way. So let me just pull up the QBs that are still left on the board. So we got Mahomes, Herbert, Williams. I'll tell you right now, I can offer Bowers for Caleb or Herbert, and they won't think twice. Like I will easily have that. So I know they're a little bit farther down. It's a weird spot where look at this run, no QBs. This is clearly a big tier break.
Yeah.
And people are saying, so I asked myself, I like Genty. I was really thinking about Genty, Bijan, Gibbs, one of the two. One of the three. I'm going to spread my my shares around a little bit. But with this format in particular, my test is I want to see. I was definitely taking a positional. I want to see how I like going Bowers here, because in our last mock I did that a little bit different. And because of the format being 2 wide receiver, I want to play this a little bit different. So we'll see how this goes.
No, I like it. You got plenty of options for this one too.
And what fell to me here too works out pretty good. I'm not considering running back. I'm not considering wide receiver when I look at who's still on the board. For me, this is really a choice between, honestly, do I just slam Patrick Mahomes? Because when I really think about it, I do think he has probably the best 5 to 6 year window of stability in terms of he won't get injured and he'll always be pretty good. So I'm actually going to go ahead and it's actually close here because I like Caleb a lot. I'm going to go with Patty Mahomes here.
Yeah. It's hard not to. I'm in the same boat here. I remember last week I waited at quarterback, and I had a horrible look at quarterback later on in the draft for a startup. I really didn't have anything to go with. So it was really hard to see, especially I had the 101. So for me, I had Josh Allen, but I had nobody else. And we're only doing 15 rounds comparatively to, a real Dynasty startup, which is usually 25 or so. For me, I think I'm going to go a little bit different than what I normally do. And it's really just to keep with the format. And why not go with a guy like Trey McBride? That is a perfect, pick for me. I did have a couple of other guys that I was looking at this spot. I like it. I hope
I like it a lot.
Yeah, I just kind of did what you did in reverse. I figured I had a good value with Joe Burrow, and then I'm getting decent value with Trey McBride here while their teams, fill their void.
Let me give you a quick take on McBride. I'm curious what you think. Sure. So for me, and I honestly apologize who it is. I definitely saw someone say this on X. It was somebody I definitely respect. But it put the thought in my head, and I simmered on it a little bit. And now I'm pretty bought into it. Okay. The Bowers is the new hot. He's the wide receiver 1 and will be Kelsey for that team probably forever. Yeah. And I do believe that. And McBride has that. Well, Marv's there, and Kyler's 2 foot tall, and the coaching has been might still be. So McBride has all these nasty smells attached to him for one way or another. And Bowers gets this separate tier 0 to then McBride's tier 1. But in my opinion, they are just neck and neck. I mean, they're right there. It's Josh Allen, Jaden Daniels for me. It's Bijan Gibbs. I mean, it's so subtle that if I have Bowers and I can somehow tier down to McBride plus and kind of go for the kill a little bit and just see, test your mind. Some people do see a sizable gap, like multiple second round picks, maybe a late first or something. And I'm doing that all day if I can. So in this startup, if you can get McBride at a good price, I would rather have McBride at a value than Bowers at cost. If it's close, I think that's kind of my take there.
No, that's fine. I can understand that. I'm a little bit higher on McBride, and it's really and not to kind of knock Bowers here. I think Bowers is going to be just fine. He's going to do what he's been continuing to do. So I can't really be mad at him or not wanting to take him. But Geno in the past hasn't really been that guy that throws to the tight end. They've been, getting a lot of pieces to try to, help him out as well. They're getting a good solid run game. For me, he's their main receiver. They're going to give him, pretty heavy coverage, moving forward. McBride is number 2 with Harrison there. I like the scenario a little better, the offense overall. I like his scenario a little bit better, even though he couldn't score a touchdown last year. But that's not all his fault. So, I don't know. I like it a little bit better for McBride than I do Bowers, but like exactly for the same reason that you said, that at cost, I rather have a guy. They're pretty much going to be identical near the end of the year. I mean, they were off by 12 points at the end of the season, 13 points. So, you're not off by much. And of course,
tier break. Yeah. You think it's a tier break here after Stroud? At least I think so.
Raven Show, you just made me a very angry human being. I was looking forward to having this, and now you're forcing me to make a choice, and I don't like this choice.
Feel free to talk it out, because I'm definitely having the same.
Honestly, I'm in a boat where do I go with a Mario Hampton? Here, do I go with Cameron Ward, who I'm not going to go with? I don't mind Hampton, but I can't see him being my running back 1 this year. It's more of a person that I have to invest in, which is fine. But I'd rather have a little bit of stability. I don't really like anybody else here. I'm not going to go with Tet.
3 seconds.
Yeah, I'm just going to go with Mario Hampton.
I think that's the pick there.
No, it has to be. I mean, I don't have a ton of shares of Hampton because I didn't have a ton of picks for this, this year in a lot of my leagues. So I don't have a ton of him, but I'm really excited to see him going to the Chargers. They have been on fire with their particular offense. They're switching more to a rush-based offense. Their rush rate last year was like 10th. Compared to like 25th the year before. So they've been moving up a lot, and they're only going to get better. Najee's on a 3-year deal, which is really like a 1 to 2 year deal. So we'll wait and see how that turns out, but I'm pretty happy with Hampton here. And, I'll find some value a little bit later. I'm going to have to definitely,
regret this pick so bad.
I
already know it.
See,
I'm playing the ADP game here, and
you want to know something, man?
So bad.
It was honestly, for me, it was between him and it was between Garrett Wilson and Hampton there. So for me, I feel a little better knowing that he's going there and not dropping. But that was a hard.
I don't regret Garrett Wilson so much as it was between 3 players.
Yeah,
and I don't even want to say it. I want to come back to it.
Well, I was going to say
I've played a little bit of the ADP game here because there's a guy. I feel like so many people know me a little bit.
Agreed. Give McBride a progression of touchdowns.
I knew he was going to do that.
I'm going to be happy.
All right, well, I can talk about it now. Shit.
Oh, you were going for you were hoping Irving came back?
Oh yeah. So
Yeah,
Bucky,
no, me
I
too.
have officially moved Bucky over HN in my rankings.
No, I would have done the same thing.
So I wanted to play the game of here's the game. It wasn't an ADP game. I'm not out here for like crazy value because all these guys are super sharp drafters, right? The idea was I actually just wanted to see if I leave HN on the board there, right? So he's clearly like the guy. Is there still going to be a wide receiver run? It dries up quick. And I knew there's this next tier of quarterbacks that should go quick. The second half of the draft was all positional guys. So I was thinking with HN on the board and then a bunch of I need a quarterbacks, will Bucky survive this quarterback run or does he not? What this just told me is that Bucky is more valuable in the market than that entire tier of quarterbacks, right?
Yeah.
Cam Ward, Kyler Murray, Jordan Love, Baker, Trev. You can throw JJ in there if you want from a dynasty value. Bucky's officially more valuable than all of them. I think for me that clearly puts him like he's got to be above HN. He's a different beast at this point.
So I kind of want to answer this there, Vike Z.
Yeah.
So in this case, Vike Z asks, I can never, well, doesn't ask, but states, I can never grasp the reasoning behind statements like I don't have much Hampton or possess too many shares of Hampton. They simply don't make sense to me. It's the concept that a lot of our league, I could be in 10 different leagues and only have them in one. That's what we mean by the concept of shares, or in like best ball where I could have, I can be doing 30 of them. I don't have Hampton in any of them, or I have them in too many of them. When you invest too much in one player, it kind of screws up your particular groupings of players for everything. So you want to kind of diversify any type of, portfolio you have of players so that you can get the best out of them. And of course, Wicked pick up the guy I wanted. Was looking forward to him falling.
I got some interesting takes on Kyron, and we'll have to touch.
Yeah, go for it.
I can Vic Z. Let me hit you with this. So I have there's a lot of reasons there could be for this. So it's also important to know when certain people say this, they could have very different reasonings behind it. It's not always explained.
Yeah.
I have a slightly different reason why I at least start the conversation in my head. It doesn't define the why I would do this, but it starts the conversation. So when you start getting into Dynasty, like your first league, okay, then maybe you get to 2 or 3, right? Once you start getting to I was like, wait a minute, did I type something?
No, you're good. I did.
Once you get to 5 leagues, then once you get to 10, I'll say once you start getting to like 10 plus Dynasty leagues and you're full degen, one of the more valuable things that you can do is it's better to level up your game and have a significantly greater feel for the marketplace and a live feel, not go check KTC, go check ECR. Those things are relatively accurate, but in order for them week to week, month to month to really work, they need a lot of data points over time. So they're always going to be a little bit late. But if you want to get the best trades done, if you want to make the best draft picks, you just have to understand the format a little bit deeper and understand your league better and compare it against other leagues. So the reason to go with a share of a player that you don't have a lot of is you need to be an owner of that player in fantasy. So you know what it's like to own that player, what it's like to hit the little lime green button and read the news, what it's like quarter by quarter for that player. Because that's one league. If I have one share and I'm in like, I don't even know at this point, definitely over 20 dynasty leagues, I think 28 or something. It's pretty silly. I've lost my damn mind, folks. At that point, there is real tangible dollars and cents value to me picking up a player or drafting him specifically because I want to know what the experience is like to own them. T. Higgins is a great example. People who own T. Higgins and people who've never owned T. Higgins have very, very different takes on T. Higgins. If I want to trade for him in another league, I need to know what the experience is like. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I understand what you mean. So Vikesy was just saying, don't misunderstand me. This is SuperFlex, only round 3. You just like the best player rather than focusing on building a portfolio, nothing personal. No, understood. It's what, and I don't take it personally. I'm just trying to make you understand what, the way that we're thinking about it. In this case, yeah, I get where you're coming from. Best player, take it. But I also kind of want to see what my team would look like with him, and in some scenarios, it's one of those things where I don't normally take a player like him there. So I should have probably stated that a little more. I normally, for dynasty startups, as much as I want a guy like Hampton, I tend to be a little bit different with my builds. As you guys saw last week, I'm very, I aim a little bit more towards the guys that are proven than the guys that aren't, or in situations that lead to a better scenario, or like they have a good path. Najee in front of Hampton I don't think it scares me, but it's one of those, it makes me kind of pull off a little bit. I love the player, but his situation's a little tough. So I tend to veer off of him. But the guys like HN and Hall, I just don't want any part of them at this point, just because of their scenarios. So it was all situational based, but agreed. I think about it that way sometimes with my portfolio, which I shouldn't do.
The last point on that one.
Sure.
Format matters, and I do think some people have gotten carried away about not specifically talking about the actual shares of a player. That comes from the best ball streets. That comes from tournament fantasy football strategy, which gets its origins in game theory from poker tournaments for the most part, to some degree. But the idea is when you're getting into high stakes best ball, or even just low stakes best ball, but just a lot of entries for a contest like Best Ball Mania, where it is millions of people. What you're looking at is across your entire portfolio. You're talking about shares and this and that because you want to create as many different unique lineups as possible so that you can find the magic lineup, and balancing your shares of players is one way to do that. So that's the term is mostly for best ball, to be honest with you. I have a gross pick here. I went with Tet earlier because he was a screaming value. I'm not quite just a screaming value. I mean, I know in Ricky drafts, obviously Hendy goes over Tet a little bit, but Tet just seemed like I clearly have him above JSN, and he's neck and neck with Garrett Wilson. The problem is this running back run is brutal for me. It is absolutely brutal. So now I'm probably forced once again to go zero RB because I'm between. Do I take Caleb Johnson?
You're in that spot, yeah.
I mean, do I take Caleb Johnson or do I risk down tiering ridiculously at quarterback? I'm not going to do that. I'm comfortable going zero RB. I am not comfortable going into this format without some chalky quarterbacks.
No, fair enough.
I don't love Trevor, but the weapons around him are too good. Okay.
Yeah, I think he's in a good scenario.
Yeah, and I think he's still got some rushing upside, so he could play worse, but I do like him a little bit. Trevor and JJ there kind of end a little bit of a younger tier for me, where Bryce is a little scary. So that was a very, very tough pick for me. I'm gonna have to go look at this and that pick, because if it wasn't Tet, I was looking at the board and thinking Quinshawn feels like a reach here, RJ feels like a reach, and Jordan Love is going to go much later. So I went with Tet because Love felt like a little bit of a reach seeing the board. I'm curious. We'll have to come back to that.
I was kind of hoping that a few of those QBs kind of fell to this round, but that's probably not going to happen. So to talk about the former, well, I wouldn't say former. Well, we were talking about the Jags, and then I thought about the former OC for the Bucks. We got Give Me That Cheese goes, just traded for Bucky in one of my leagues, and he said,
he's still
109. Javonte Sanders,
Jatavian Sanders for who is
interesting,
kind of not great. That is a steal. That is open theft. The rest of chat, no one is getting that deal done in a competitive league. Just throw that out there. That whoever traded you,
tough.
That would be a near veto from 11 other players in most of my
never
leagues.
Have vetoes in your league.
I don't have vetoes in my leagues. That doesn't mean they don't scream from the damn rafters about it.
Yeah, fair enough.
That would get people spiced up for sure. That is direct. A Bucky for me is a straight up. He's worth 2 first rounders. Easy.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough.
Not like the 103 and the 104. All right. I'm talking like 106, 107. Absolutely. Yeah. I would do that for him.
So Pierce is saying he's a former T. Higgins owner, absolute roller coaster, especially recently. With now that he's he got the bag over the in the off season. So thank you. Or hopefully he is able to stay healthy and everything works out in his favor. John Nickel, he goes, "What's your take on CMC? I'm iffy on him this next season." So am I, my friend. So am I. I am the I am the undoubtedly the one person at least in this group, that has been very low on CMC from the beginning. 2 years ago, I would have been the first one to tell you not to draft him at all. Then he goes off and has one of his best seasons ever when he gets over to San Francisco. I've had many different scenarios, and at this point, the thought it came. My particular take came too late. You son of a bitch.
I mean, I did tell you that my tiebreaker.
I know, but you didn't need him. You didn't need him, and you could have got him in the round before.
Well, I'm gonna trade him to you. That's the.
No.
Honestly, I'll tell it to everyone here on the rest of the board. There is a very good chance if you guys leave value at quarterback at the 7-7, I'm gonna take it.
Yeah.
At this point, like, just I look at the running backs and the wide receivers, and I'm like, look at the top 3 guys in any of the positions, and look at the quarterbacks. You will trade that quarterback for all of those players plus more, and it's just a better value. Now,
it just sucks. It hurts. It just I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Talk me through Smith over. Were you considering any of their options at wide receiver there? Because this is this is the C where I start to see that. I think it's usually after Rome for me, and sometimes after Olave. But this Olave, Rome, Addison, Smith, Xavier, like that, and like DK and Pickens get thrown in that tier now, and in that kind of. It
felt dirty. I'm not gonna lie, it felt dirty. It really, really dirty.
When AJ Brown gets traded, do you think you'll feel better?
Yeah, but I doubt that. It's one of those things right now that the Eagles are primarily a run team with Saquon and Barkley. You could look at the stats and they are just incredibly different from 2023 to 2024. Just from Jalen Hurts' perspective. Yeah, he had a ton of, rushing touchdowns because of the tush push and, that passed and everything's good. He had he had 2,900 passing yards last year. That's that shouldn't be the case for him. And the year prior to that, he's going with 37? Where is it? 38? I mean, it makes no sense. He had 3,800 yards. He basically took off 1,000 yards with Saquon there. I'm a little hesitant to take a guy like him, but I love the talent too much to not take him. He's a very talented receiver. I'm okay with it, but I didn't like anybody else there. I had Worthy there. I had Addison there. Both of them. I couldn't take Worthy because I had Rice. Flowers, I'm not a big fan of. Moore was too. I like Moore this season, and then he has a fall off, for me at least. And Buka would have been a good, a decent pick for me. But at that point where I was, it just made more sense to me. That's all.
No, it makes some sense. I'm looking at the board because you're about to be up here in a second. I'm looking at the board, so I'm just going to talk through this a little bit. So we had this running back run into quarterbacks, and that screwed over some people a little bit. Got this big tier from Rome all the way through J. Will Pickens. This is what I was talking about. This always happens, and I'm very curious. This run of players is really important, I think, to nail in drafts. Not that who you pick here, but like knowing these players are available here, I think changes what you do earlier. Like for me right now, Tet's still the dynasty pick, but knowing that down here at the 7-7, I'm just looking at wide receivers, I could be looking at, Golden, Higgins, Pearsall. I like them a lot, and being a little less shallow at running back. Actually, being able to take like a Chase Brown there instead of a McMillan could make sense. But if I'm looking at a 3-year window, I have to go with like a 5-10 year player. I'm just, so we're full zero running back right now. We are stupid zero running back. Jesus, we might go even harder zero RB.
Where's the tier?
I'm not taking a running. I just won't do it. There's no way in hell I'm taking a running back here. It's between quarterback and wide receiver. This is going to be a weird draft, bro. Oh my goodness. 2 was on the board. No one's taking him. Oh geez. Fields has kind of got a soft spot for him. It's 2 wide receiver league, so I just don't need wide receivers, but it's still 2 quarterback. Not enough tight end premium today. You know what? This is kind of insane that Hawk is still on the board a little bit. I'm not taking Hawk over at quarterback, though. I'm just not doing it. All right, dude. Let's get crazy. All right.
Oh, you dirty player.
I did not mean to snipe you. That was honestly a tough call between like, do I just take Tua? Tua doesn't have enough like longevity for me in Dynasty. I just don't think he lasts long enough time.
I have plenty of options that I can go with. He was someone I was eyeing, and I was a little disappointed that he fell there. I know there's going to be a run in a minute about quarterbacks, so
nice pick, Mike. Nice pick, Pomp. I was debating between those two guys.
I mean, I liked Penix. I was a little upset that he got picked right before Young. Those were the guys I was aiming for to get back to me. And it is what it is. It's one of those scenarios that you kind of have to, be water and kind of, pick your particular scenario, and kind of sometimes you got to pivot. It is what it is. Vikes egos initially, it was Hampton. Now optimistic about QB returning in the 5th round. Additionally, we invested our 4th round pick on a recently injured Rice. Our mock draft, my draft isn't going as well as I want it to, but I invested in a guy that I am pretty sure is going to be. I'm at this point, I am very confident in him doing well in the coming seasons, so I'm not against having a guy like Rice. I can invest in a couple older wide receivers to kind of level things out. So I don't stress too much about that. I like Rice, and I think he'll do just fine. Even his all field stuff, I think he'll be more than okay. So John said 2027 first and Olave for A-Chain. Full PPR.
First and Olave for A-Chain. Start 2 wide receivers. That's a no for me. I'm keeping the 27 first and Olave. What I don't have here, John, is I don't know your current, are you win now? Are you rebuilding? Your format here is going to matter a lot, and your build plan to get to 2027 is going to matter. On pure value, I can only answer. I know I got to pick here, but I've got it pretty well figured out. I'll just finish up the take here. The idea is that Achane has a million ranges of outcomes in a 2-year window that are bad to worse for him. And I mean, this year could be amazing, but the off season plus next year could just bring a lot of not good. Could still be great. 2027 first. If it's from a team that I should just make my pick. Oh, Vike was on the clock the whole time.
No, you got 5.
Yeah,
no you son of a bitch.
Yeah.
This is why I hate being next to you.
Well, we're taking Kincaid. I mean, I know Pitts is not good, but we can't be taking Kincaid over Pitts, guys. Come on. He's like, Pitts drink yet? Is he 21? I mean, he's still like a little baby. I don't love him. My problem is Tucker Kraft, might be just a better player than him. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think now that I think about it, Kraft is just a better pick than Pitts. I would take that one back actually. So my apologies for the viewers for misleading them. Pitt, I feel like I just had to take somebody. I just didn't want to take a running back because of that. But John, just to finish the take, the idea is 2027 firsts. If that player isn't super strong, doesn't have a plan, 2027 firsts could be legendary. You've got the Jeremiah Smith is probably the next Chase Brown. It's going to be a good class. Everyone already knows it's going to be a good class. Might be top heavy, but it's going to be good through like the 107. I think if I'm just estimating based on some of the big names we know, things could change drastically, but I'm just putting a little asterisk around if there's a decent chance that 27 pick could be early. There's no way I'm getting rid of it. And HN just has a little bit of, I don't think he'll age well in a 3-year window. And I think Olave will actually get better in a 3-year window because I always bet against.
You're okay with him though?
It's not that I'm okay with Olave. It's more that I think the market has massively overreacted to a 24-year-old wide receiver. He's the same. He's like Pickens is buried, and all of a sudden something good happened, and people are like, "Oh shit!" It's like, guys, one piece of good news, and you were ready to like skyrocket to the moon.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is you buried him too much in Dynasty because things can change pretty fast for a lot of positions and for a lot of teams over a 2-year window. And I think with Olave, a lot of things look gross, but look at things like a Jacoby Myers. I think over the last 2 or 3 seasons has averaged something like 13.7 fantasy points. Saw this in the post in X. That's more than DK Metcalf in a 3-year window.
Oh yeah, no,
So-
I've always been a big fan of
My
Myers.
my point is Olave is a good wide receiver that has essentially averaged approximately like 12-ish points per game with shit quarterback play and a
Yeah.
kind of a bad team, right? Saquon, who buried Saquon before the Eagles trade happened, right? Now that's pretty obscene, but
Well,
I'm saying
That was the
Olave,
Giants.
he's an Ohio State wide receiver. How many Ohio State wide receivers are pretty good at the football and end up working out if they have a halfway decent situation? Like, I'm not ready to bury Garrett Wilson. I think Garrett Wilson is immensely talented, and I
Oh,
think
yeah.
you see it on the field sometimes, right? It's usually not his fault when it doesn't go that well. I'm just giving Olave the benefit of the doubt that I've watched his games. I owned him, so I watched him, and I always felt he was good and the team sucked.
Yeah.
So if you buy Olave or don't sell him and have to own him for like 6 more months, it probably will feel gross until it feels better. But if you held him the entire season and didn't love it, you'd wake up next year with a 25-year-old wide receiver 1 on a team that has no picks or money to replace him with somebody else.
Yeah, but they also don't have a QB to really make him that good. You can use the argument.
Malik Neighbors didn't have a quarterback either, but he was
Fair
the
enough,
de facto
but-
only player in town, and he did pretty poorly on his hyper-targetedness, right? Like
Yeah,
Neighbors,
but here's my thing. Here's my 2 cents on it. You can't compare Neighbors to Olave, in my opinion. You
different
have
player types for sure, and
very
talent
different
level is
player
wide.
types. Even the wide receiver group, or not the wide receiver, the QB room is a lot different. Say what you will about Daniel Jones, he's probably the best number 2 that you can find as a QB in most scenarios. They then have a guy like, Drew Lock throwing him the ball, which is gross to begin with, but still he had good games with him. Freaking Boyd was even decent at one point. So, and then, well, I'm not even going to have a conversation about DeVito, but now he's going to a room with a rookie Rattler who didn't really do anything at all, and Heckner, whatever the hell his name is, Jack Heckner. The room is vacant. It's to the point where he is playing with guys that barely can make it. I don't trust his scenario just because his concussions really screwed him. He had the 2 concussions real quick. He's had a history of them here and there. It's scary to think. It's kind of like Tua. We saw Tua drop in this draft all the way down to the 7th round. And it's mostly because of that. A lot of people don't touch him because of it. Is he an okay quarterback when he's up? Yeah, he is. But it throws his value down too much. I'd rather have A-Chain in that scenario. Based on what it looks like it's a build for now.
Yeah, he's a top 3 team. Later. If he's a top 3 team, I'm definitely.
I wasn't even looking at that. I didn't even read that when looking at it. I figure he's in the top and he's trying to get a solid running back to solidify his particular group.
Mm-hmm. I'll be honest. I actually read this slightly askew when I read it. So one of the I was thinking like, oh, in 2 wide receivers, I want elite wide receivers. So like okay ones drop in value a little bit to super high end ones, and I got the take wrong when I was reading it because it's 2 wide receiver. Olave does lose a little bit in my mind because he's just within 2 points per game of a lot of other guys. In a 3 wide receiver set, I like the stability of those 12 to 13 point a game guys. I really need that around. In a 2 wide receiver, it's just not a separator. And A-Chan definitely is. So I read that wrong. Sorry about that, John. That would change my take on that a little bit. Also, Vike Z, you're completely right. I kept staring down this Pitts pick, and it's awful. It's atrocious. Dart's definitely a better pick, but I wasn't taking 4 QBs in a row. But when I look at the board,
No, he was talking on me because of the concept that I was mad at you for picking Pitts. But I had
he's telling you like I did you a favor because I kept you from making a mistake. Honestly, Golden and Pearsall in particular is such a better pick there, and honestly, Brian Robinson is a better pick there, and Cam Scadaboo is a better pick there. And I've made a horrible mistake there, but that's okay. We recognized it, and streaming and drafting at the same time is brutal, guys. It is absolutely brutal.
But for me, as much as I like, I like the kid Dart. I think that the Giants did a really good, job picking him. For those that don't know or first time watching, I'm a big, I'm a Giants fan at heart. So for me, it's one of those. Dart, I think, is going to be good next year comparatively to this year. So yes, it's a good pick or an investment for later in the future. I'm trying to, I like winning now. I'm not really one to build. Like, I don't want to be a bubble team. I'm never one of those guys that wants the bubble team. I want the team that's winning this year, which isn't happening. But it's because I kind of let that happen. So that's on me either way. But I'm trying different things that I normally don't do. This is not a build that I normally would go with or how I would do it. So I always like trying different things. And I don't like the spot either.
Yeah.
I'd rather be at the 10. I'd rather be at the 9.
Hey, man, my draft's about to be spicy here. I have 200 quarterbacks. I have 0 running backs, and I'm entering the 10th round. We've done a true 0 RB, boys. We didn't half. We are taking our first running back in Dynasty in round 10. I'm the bravest one here. It's okay. It's okay. Someone had to do it. Let's get it. I'm going to see if I can. The Pitts pick ruined this. I could have salvaged this into something. The funny thing is, cool and interesting. The Pitts pick has just destroyed. I don't even want this team anymore because I drafted Pitts, and I'm never doing it again. And you shouldn't wait till you have like 3 seconds on the clock to have to think, because you make bad choices.
Thoughts on Tyreek in the 8th round?
Thoughts on Tyreek in the 8th in Dynasty. So for me, when you draft Tyreek in Dynasty, it has absolutely nothing to do with what round you take him in. Because right now, the difference between I like Tyreek and I dislike Tyreek is not changing his trade value. No one is over-investing, but he has sort of a flourish kind of situation. So player to player, league to league is kind of be a similar round. So it's a build order thing. It's the picks before him and the picks after him. How are you playing this draft? That is the answer to your question. Tyreek in the 8th is about who did you take earlier, right? Did you just take falling value on guys that are 26 years old or older? If so, okay, I guess you're assembling a win now. And if it doesn't fall, you're retooling in year 2, but you might win in year 1 type of thing. It's what I'm saying here. Perk is, I still want to call you Raven too, by the way.
Yeah, I know. I have it in my head as that.
That's kind of where I'm going with. It's about your draft more than it is about the value, right? Yeah. It's a redraft question, right? Tyreek in this round in Dynasty, it's such an age cliff at a position that should last forever, but it's not because the age cliff. Yeah. It's a build order question, and I'm not allowed to take. I want to take another wide receiver at quarterback.
You do you, brother.
I really do, but I can't. I just have to take 6 running backs in a row, and I'm going to. And I'm pretty happy with where I get to start. By the way, okay, I'm between 2 here. I'm between 3. I'm between Tracy, Sharps, and Pollard. Actually, I think Pollard is like stupid underrated, so I'm just straight up gonna start with him.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know where the love for Pollard fell away. I've done enough homework and own him in enough places where he was amazing at football last year. Did you watch any of his highlights? Some of his on one leg he was.
Yeah, I was going to say he was doing it very well with one leg.
I mean, he was the best player on that team by such a wide margin when you watched him. Yeah. You know who else watches their team? Every fucking coach on the team.
Yeah.
They watch the game. That's all they can do is watch the game. Yeah. And why they watched Tony Pollard on half a leg be the best player on the team.
Oh, he was fantastic. He was absolutely fantastic.
He was the only player I've ever seen that didn't practice all week and then had 20 carries. I mean, this wasn't like get him in there. I mean, he got the damn rock on every single play after not stepping foot in a football field, because he was actually injured, like for real injured. So I think the coaching staff is like, look, we got a rookie quarterback. We got some guys at wide receiver. No offense, Calvin Ridley. I like you. I think you're fantastic, to be honest with you. But Pollard is the glue for this team, and he is going to get the damn rock all day. And it's a massive quarterback upgrade, which means the offense could move. He scored a lot of fantasy points on a dog shit offense. I just think Pollard is like this year's Monty, where he is not dead. He's Mixon. He's Mixon and Monty last year. He will be good. He will put up a lot of points. And my team is looking like it's 0 RB. So I need something stable, and he's my something stable in case I can, oops, I win, right?
Yeah.
Probably not happening because my team is definitely about 10 trades away from like looking like what it will be. But that's me in every league all the time, right? the idea here is I do want something stable that I can go officially 0 RB after him, but I think I have Pollard for 2 years. I really do. I don't think Spears touches him outside of injury. I think he spells him. I don't dislike Spears. He's just nowhere near Pollard, and I don't think he ever eats into his work. And I think Pollard is dust towards 3/4 end of next year. But I do
can
like
agree
that
with
I have him a little bit. And I think if he starts doing really good, I'm already planning on selling him for a second rounder to a competing team who is like, yeah, I would love a hyper stable 10 to 15 PPG RB3 because maybe I have Connor and I'm worried about my team losing in the playoffs to an injury, right? I will sell Pollard for a second, which is probably more than he's worth if he plays the way I think. So I think he's a value pick.
Okay. No, I don't hate Pollard. I think he's a very solid player, and you kind of covered everything that I was going to say. I mean, he's very consistent, with what he did, and he's a quick twitch player. I've always been a fan of him.
Nice.
I was very happy that you didn't go with Tracy because I wanted Tracy.
I said Tracy was in there. You're sweating bullets.
I know. I was.
Tracy was the second guy I mentioned.
I was, and it's really just because of his output for this year. Like I said it last week. I see him as being a top 15 this year, especially this year. I can definitely see him doing that moving forward. I think Scatterboo is more of a compliment to him more than someone that's going to really take away from him. They're both, he's definitely going to get some goal line and short yardage and all that. But at the end of the day, I think Tracy is going to be one of the better players. I think he'll be top 15 running back at the end of the next season, just for so many reasons. He's going to be starting with Wilson, who is a check down machine, just second to passes to the wide receiver for the last 3 years or 2 years at the very least, from what I can gather from all the stats that I've seen. And Tracy pretty much lives in that realm of being a wide receiver, former wide receiver. I think he was 10th, if memory serves me right, on with receptions to the running back. I mean, all these things are signed. Yeah, he was 13th overall with 53 targets. He can definitely either. I think
he can catch the ball. That was his first job, right?
I mean, honestly,
he has some fumbling issues. I think it's the only real red flag to his game. But he was again converted wide receiver. They all have fumbling issues when they're converted. He can get better.
Yeah, he had 2 fumbles, but honestly, I'm not too worried about that. Beyond that, he'll get a lot of touches, a lot of the ball. I loved the way he ran, and he always fell forward. You never saw him getting hit back. He was able to run through the tackles very efficiently. I like a lot of different things about him, and he goes for almost nothing.
He really does.
And it's his second year. I understand he's a little older. He's 25 for, a second-year running back. Really like him as a value pick in a lot of leagues, even in, for Dynasty and for redraft. I like him a lot. So, yeah. Mike Torius called it.
I didn't actually. I don't know if he said that before or after I picked
it. No,
I didn't read it.
He said it right before you picked it. So it's kind of funny that you did it all in one. I am currently getting, at this point, I am getting trolled. Once more, whether you're a Giants fan or a Cowboys fan, it shouldn't matter. Winning now. Here comes the 101 for 2006. Yeah. I mean, yeah, probably. I'm right now just trying to see what I can do with this team and try to make it better if I can. If not, no big deal. I've always been a fan of waiting for, getting my wide receivers a little bit later. I really would love to, grab a guy like Najee right now, but that's kind of stupid. So I'll take somebody that I know that's going to be starting this year and at least take the combo. I don't like it, but I'll take it. It's better than not having anybody at all because there is absolutely nothing after this teardrop. So I don't see any, or this, did I just say teardrop? I did. Teardrop. Oh, I'm half right. Sorry. I've had a few beers. I'm a little deep right now. So give me that cheese goes. Do you think Spears will take over that running back room? Actually, yeah, I think you already answered that. I don't think he will.
No, I don't think he's the type. Look, because I'll say this, I don't dislike Spears.
Yeah.
Right. I do think he had like the knee arthritic situation where I didn't like him as a dynasty prospect because I think he takes the short lifespan of a running back and makes it a little bit shorter. It just makes him less investable from a draft prospect. Okay. But from a talent perspective on the field, remember when he was spelling Derrick Henry a decent amount. You know what I mean? He was actually good. He had more yards per carry than Derrick Henry half the time. He's a good running back, much like Pollard, though worse than Pollard, though he's not a volume crazy guy. Pollard can actually kind of handle that. I don't see Spears handling that as much personally. I think Spears does really well with his role. I just don't see him ever taking it over. And I think that was mostly evidenced by they could have used Spears more. I saw Pollard not play football for a week and then get 20 carries, and Spears just kind of watched him. That is a team that in practice just knows. They just know it's very different. So I think Spears has just very much a capped ceiling, and he will never take over any room ever. If Pollard were to go away or go down, I think it would turn immediately into some form of a timeshare. And then again, I take nothing away from Spears. Spears was a fantasy winner for me down the stretch because I flexed him a lot for those catches, and I saw his usage, and he put up 20 points a game, I think 2 or 3 times towards the end of the year, and that was fantastic. I count on that quite a bit more than I count him in as a reliable player. He's more of an upside flex that has a real role, kind of how like Eckler was last year from time to time. It's just he's certainly capped, but I think he can still do okay, and his skill set allows him, when they're losing, to get fourth quarter pass catching bumps, a la like Ramondre Stevenson's freshman year, when he would have some bad games. The fourth quarter, he'd catch 6 passes, and it was just okay, there we go. That's how I see Spears as a player and in that offense.
No, I like that. I mean, honestly, I'm looking at the stats here. I'm looking at just general touches. Prior to Pollard going down, it was 60-40 roughly. It jumped between 60-40 and 70-30 throughout the year. And then at one point it was 80-10 for a short bit. And then then Pollard kind of got hurt. Then he took over 94% in week 12. And then it kind of went more into it kind of bounced back and forth a little bit. So I'm pretty confident in thinking that Pollard will have that role for a little bit of time now. And we'll see, how that goes. You did take Likely. He was a consideration for that pick. I definitely was thinking about Likely there.
I just like when my 13th round pick is better than my 8th round pick because I'm an idiot.
No, I mean, honestly, if he's able to fall and you can get value, why not? I mean, it's a solid pick. I do very much.
The only thing I don't like, he's already 25. Got to be honest. For a guy in Likely's position, I want him to be about 23 instead of 25. But
no, I get it.
2 wide receiver league, so I just kind of want. I want one extra thing, because at this point, part of taking Bowers was also I might use Bowers as a blockbuster trade piece to fix everything if someone wants to overpay. Yeah. And I would say that in chat to the whole league, I'm trading Bowers. Get drunk, want to overpay, hit me up. That's just like, I would just be so honest about it. And if that happens, I might need to have a plan B there. So it was close. I was really just taking Likely because I thought it would really piss off a bunch of people that were clearly playing the ADP game. And so this was pure punish. You ever have that in a mock draft where you're like, I need to punish you guys for being greedy, because this is not how this is going to go down in the real streets.
I definitely like throwing a curveball. Which
Du Bois actually made a better pick there. That's the real pick there. Ferguson is straight up a better pick than Likely. Thank you, Du Bois. Thank you for restoring my faith. I just got absolutely dunked on. Couldn't quite be happier.
Yeah.
You know, it is when you're like, look, if I was locked in, not talking, I know I'd make all the picks and be happy with my team. But I like it when someone does the let me show you how to draft.
No. Kev knows what he's doing, my friend. We have the very own Kevin Coleman from the Devi Royale here joining us tonight, which I'm very happy to have him here. So thanks, Kev. I appreciate it if you're watching. He's, Kev knows what he's talking about,
that's your boy.
Yeah, I like him late. I'm a big fan of Wan'Dale Robinson too, for the same exact reasons for Tracy. It's hard, most of the teams, and then it makes me look like a freaking homer when I'm really not trying to be. It's just the value that's fallen here. It just ends up happening that way.
I trade for late round picks. All I want to do is draft late round picks all day. But we went 0 RB, so here we go.
Yeah, no, you got to grab who you need at this point. So yeah, I'm at the point now where I can definitely see that Vikesy is just not liking what I'm doing here. And that's
Well,
okay.
I mean, you got
And you know what? I'm not gonna.
you pick and go. We can. I guess we did kind of skip over the Scattaboo side of
Oh
the
no, I
take.
mentioned it. I said clear out that he's just really going to be a compliment, and he's going to be a good short yardage guy. He's definitely going to be involved.
I think it's also we went ham on Scattaboo on the last like episode or two, and
Yeah, that too.
everyone can't shut up about him. So I think we're a little. I think we might just be not trying to talk about him too much, but at the same time we definitely didn't mention it at all. Vikesy, let me throw
No, he's good.
let me
He's already leaving, so yeah, it is what it is, my
all
friend.
right. Well, can't please them all, unfortunately.
No.
What do we do here? Really like that Garendo fell to 4-6. Was quite happy with that. How you like it? You're not a Javante fan though.
Javante Williams?
Yeah,
No,
are
I'm
you in?
actually. I really am on Javante Williams. I do like him a lot. I'm a big fan. I like the pick going to the Cowboys, and them not going for really anybody that's worth it at this point. I know they drafted Blue, but I don't see that being anything really. They got value for him. They barely paid him anything at this point. I like the scenario for him. So yeah, I'm just a big fan of him. I've always been a fan of him since he was in Denver. I loved the burst that he had. It was more of an eye test thing, and then he goes and tears the ACL. So it's one of those things where I didn't get to watch him enough to really get to see his true potential, but I do see a lot potential with him moving forward, especially with Dallas, which is
Yeah, I think
sad to say.
there's a league I'm in where big trade went down, involved JJ McCarthy and some other pieces. The idea was somebody bought a few running backs and some elder people, and the general take was, oh man, like JJ's way more valuable. I had to step out in the streets a little bit. I kind of think here's my current take on Javante, and it's ugly because I've been doing this a little bit too much, but I'm gonna stick with it. You remember when Leonard Fournette in the later stages of his career was just like the dump off king? Javante's a great pass catcher.
Yeah.
Maybe not great good. I'd have to.
No, he has great hands.
I think he led the Broncos in catches. Maybe not yards.
No,
he led him in catches last year.
Hands.
His rookie season was like 2 billion catches. Clearly, he's got the chops for it. I think he can be okay. I remember Fournette was not fun to own. I had him, but I remember the dump offs. I remember he'd catch like 10 passes and rush for like 40 yards. But I think Williams can be kind of similar. I think Javante can be a really good dump off weapon for Dak. I see him being good enough to where he's going to be a value where he's going over a lot of other upside guys that just never hit their upside. And people are going to overspend just to shore up the position when you could have taken him at a sort of a gross but value and not had all of us have had to spend a late second on like an Alexander Madison or something crazy to like finish the run off or fill it in. And I think that's a pick that avoids that sort of a disaster. Should we just finish the 0 RB and just keep taking our favorite RBs
at this
on the
point,
board?
you're gonna have to. Well, I mean, you're gonna be a little light at wide receiver, but that's up to you.
Well, we'd go more rounds, right? I would talk about it a little bit. The wide receivers I would draft here, I'd be looking to pick up maybe a share of Mims, a Tillman. I like Tillman a little bit lower, ambiguous wide receiver room with only Judy. Tillman definitely popped. I think he's got a little pop in him. I think one of the best buy lows here is Adonai Mitchell is buried. He was a guy I was considering last 2 rounds. I don't know why he's so buried. I mean, there's players that have objectively terrible situations that went before him. He's extremely talented. We buzzed in the draft. He was like 50 feet open sometimes, just A-Rich throwing the ball. And I really think with less competition, some time under his belt, I think he's a real year 2 smaller breakout candidate. He could be like mini Jameson Williams, I think, in a similar way. And I just don't know why we're burying him all that much. I like Downs too. I think Downs definitely went already, but I think he goes way later in drafts. When Downs is like a poor man's JSN, they should be closer. They get the ball in a similar fashion.
Did he go?
That's a great pick at 15-9. Wow, that's a great pick. I would have rather. I'd rather have Strange than Likely. That's such a great pick.
Yeah, I would rather have Strange than Brown at this point.
I'd rather have Strange than my last 5 picks, I think.
Yeah, that was a good pick there, Wicked. Good pick there. So we just finished up the draft. We got a lot of teams on these boards, a lot of, really interesting builds. Here we have Kendall with his 0 RB, which is nice.
0 RB, 100 quarterbacks.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a different build. Okay, Victorious helped us out there. 10-4. I was
Yeah, no, I seen him go, but like 10-4, I was looking at just like the guys around him. It's just kind of crazy where he goes.
Yeah.
Like I have Downs above Golden, Harris, Beck, and that whole and Burden, that whole range of guys.
My whole thing is the quarterback. If Anthony Richardson is the quarterback, I feel like for Downs, it's going to be a lot tougher for him to do well. I think Daniel Jones is his best option, to be quite honest with you.
I think so too. I guess my take is I don't think it matters.
Yeah.
Because even with awful quarterback play, who was the best wide receiver on the team with terrible quarterback play?
Yeah, it's definitely
Downs,
him. Yeah.
Right? Who still had 10 targets on a million occasions. With Anthony Richardson, it was Downs. No, there was a lot of like 5. There was still a lot of pretty big targeted games, even with Downs. You can look them up. There wasn't a million of them, but there was still a couple. Because if he just had to get the ball out, it was hyper inaccurate. But Downs was just open on every single play. He was NFL open, which is not super open, but he was open enough.
He has a good. He's honestly one of the better separators, and I like him a lot. I just get a little I own him in a couple of my dynasty leagues, and I like having him as like my wide receiver 4. It's just I don't feel comfortable with him as in my starting lineup as often as I want him to be, and it's really just because of Anthony Richardson that made it that way. I felt better when Flacco was in the lineup because that's just how it was, but now he's no longer there, so they're only Daniel Jones is next up after if he might even get the gig. I like Jones with him a little bit better just because I think Jones is more accurate than Anthony Richardson, which isn't really saying much, but I do think that he is. I've seen enough of Jones to kind of understand who he is, but he's more accurate than Richardson. And I've had confirmation of that from different shows that I've watched. Edelman talked about the concept that he talked to other wide receivers in the league that played for both the Giants and for the Bills, and they were saying that Jones is more accurate than Josh. And I'm sitting there like, huh? Like if another wide receiver in the league is thinking or saying that, there must be that must be something behind that. Like there has to be some truth to it. So I could see it. It's just he made bad decisions. For me, he seems like the guy that does really good in practice and really bad in a game scenario because of whatever the reason might be. I'm like that too. I'm not even going to lie to you. When I play softball, I can in practice, I can do everything that you guys ask me to do. Once the game starts, I can't throw the ball to save my life. So maybe it's just a mental thing for Jones, but he can do it. It's just he has to be able to, get that out of his head, hopefully. So the
better line, better running game. I mean,
that too.
There's a lot going on.
But you have to remember the Colts did lose a couple of big pieces on their offensive line. So they're building a whole new line too. They lost Ryan Kelly. They lost who did they lose? They lost, I think, their left tackle or right tackle. Either way, they lost a few big pieces on that line. Ryan Kelly's a Pro Bowl center. He's going to be a huge piece of that offense that's going to be missing. I'm a little nervous about JT moving forward, because when you only have one guy with Quentin Nelson blocking, it makes it real difficult, to be quite honest. Yeah, and then Tyler Warren, man, he's somebody it's going to be interesting.
Man, you got 2 running backs at quarterback. Just get crazy with it.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. So I was gonna bring up Ravens. I was bringing it up for a reason. He was mentioning that. And he says, I was gonna go into Theo because Theo's actually, like I said, I like the Giants' offense this year, not just because I'm a Giants fan, but because of the fact that I think Russ does improve a lot of the areas that we're gonna have, and I think Dart ends. Sort of, but he likes the intermediate route, which is where Theo would be living. So that's why I like it a little bit more. I like him and Wandell for those reasons. Neighbors is still going to eat. He's still going to have his top 10. I don't think he finishes in top 5, but I do think he'll have a top 10 year, and he's still a wide receiver 1 without a problem. They're still going to feed him. They're still going to give him his targets. It's still going to be a thing. But I do think they're going to try to get everyone else involved in one way or another. And Russ is definitely a tier up from Daniel Jones, or especially the group that he had, maybe 2 tiers up. So I like Theo in his ability to catch the ball. He's a big, tall receiver to help out Russ. I really do think that Theo long term can do real well, especially with Dart too. So
yeah, I like it. I like that a lot. Actually, I think there was some really, really sharp picks late in the draft. That was hard to keep up with sometimes. But there's I feel like there's no way to slow the draft down enough outside of like the draft is just over or 2-minute. And I'm saying like the fantasy footballers will sometimes just like they'll stop to do that thing. I don't know. I feel
it's all auto though.
I feel like there's only so much you can cover out a mock draft, but man, I really feel like a lot of these late round picks were money. So this is definitely a good draft. I feel like when you see a lot of mocks, there's a lot of just terrible mocks where they're just not as competitive. And this was a great group. I was going
to say just taking a quick look at everybody and having a second to kind of get an idea of a team that you like their particular build. Is there any team that kind of stands out to you here in this particular group?
Yeah. Du Bois is probably my favorite team. I obviously had heard of Kevin. I don't know him like you do, but I know those guys a little.
Kevin knows it. Kevin knows his stuff. For those that don't know, please make sure you guys are subscribing to the Debbie Royale if you haven't already. Definitely check out all his stuff. Kevin is one of the best in this particular
showed very easily.
Yeah, he knows what he's talking about. He's very good with Debbie, very good with Dynasty in general. Kev's one of the best out there.
My favorite start is going with like either a neighbor's Genty or I have BTJ like to the actual moon. I'm in love with him probably because I didn't give him enough love beforehand. But getting a neighbor's Puka BTJ along with a Genty Gibbs when it comes around in sort of a way, and then knowing that I like Purdy more than most people, that this whole range, him getting Purdy and Kyler in the 3 and 4 is just wonderful. I'm very curious what he would say if Murray and Ward had gone. Oh, I mean, then he's Bucky just falls, so it's fine. It felt good for him. But I just really, really, really liked the overall draft and kind of how that came together. What about you? What's one that stuck out to you a little bit?
So looking at it real quick, I really like Wicked's a lot. He got a lot of guys I was aiming for, a lot of guys that I was really interested in. So, appreciate him sniping me a bunch. His team, I probably like the most out of this at this point.
Yeah, I like his team a lot.
Had good age. He was able to get a lot of guys at a good age and a good, it's a good win now team for me. That's
great build for 2 wide receiver league, going real strong at the 2 wide receiver and then being a little thin there.
Yeah, but he could do that with he could do that with his QBs. He's got young QBs with Baker and Fields. He gets both ends of the spectrum with it. He ends up getting Kittle real late in the 8th round, which is fantastic in his. And then on top of that, the Strange pick near the end, really liked it. The Richardson pick, everything kind of just worked.
Value. I mean, think about it this way. Baker's already a top 10. He's really rising through the ranks despite his age. God, he's just too damn good. But really Fields and Richardson, if just one of them works,
they're the same player.
He just needs a 50% hit rate and they could be to the moon, right? If either of them works out the way they're supposed to, those are they could be top 6-7 dynasty court. I mean, that's maybe a little aggressive, but that's
I
for
get
the
it.
price. I mean, tell me I'm crazy. Kyler at 4.3, right? What's the chances that Fields or Richardson, assuming they hit not the super high end, but just do the thing we thought they would? They'd be better than Kyler sometimes, a decent amount of the time, right?
Yeah.
So I think they can be worthy of a 4th round value. several rounds later. He gave himself a lot of chances to just roll if it goes his way.
Yeah, and honestly, he's got a lot of depth, a lot of good pieces that could really help him out. Terry McLaurin can fit right into that flex spot with Swift, who I think is going to have a fantastic year this year and is in a very good value spot right now in the 9th round. I love Darnell Mooney, that pick right down there. I know that he's very underrated and very just not thought of, to be quite honest. But he is a scary good separator, and I like him moving forward with Penix. We have a small sample size, of course, but I'm really high on Penix just because I have a real. For me, it's more of a feeling than it is actually statistically. I can see him working well with this offense, and I think his arm really helps a guy like Mooney who can get deep and definitely behind the secondary. So. I really do like this particular build overall. Give me the cash, or give me the cheese.
Give me the cheese.
I'm thinking of the.
I'm gonna accidentally call you. Give me the cash.
Yeah, I was thinking that. So he wants us to kind of take a look at his team and give him a little feedback. So I'm taking a quick look, and from what I mean, my favorite pick of it, of course, is Gibbs. I'm a big Gibbs fan overall.
Yeah, love me some Gibbs, and I love a good hero RB build too. So I think it makes the rest of your draft a little bit. Certain decisions get simpler.
No, yeah, and I know you like bits and pieces of this particular team, just because it's mostly guys that you would be drafting, with Rome and
there's
a few
lot
others.
To like here. Caleb Johnson is extremely young. This is the type of running back that I like drafting in Dynasty, where he's not undervalued. He's potentially undervalued because he's got a lot of life and legs under him, and Warren's a good player. So you can't overvalue him when he has real competition. But what does his 3-year window look like? It looks pretty fantastic. Rome I have way higher than that, so obviously I'm feeling good. 2 is risky, but fantasy football is a top heavy format. Usually you get nothing for 3rd and 4th place. Who cares, right? It's top heavy. You need to win the league, not do well in the league. And he's going with that build type where Sanders in the 11th. I think that's amazing. That's the type. Oh no,
it's great value.
Win you enough value that it takes you to the next level. So
you have to hope he takes it though.
Yeah, I do think Ward 4-3 early for me.
I would have gone.
I'm definitely
Murray.
Taking Kyler and Love a full tier above Ward. The chance, if Ward's just not good, I feel like this is the example of you don't win your draft at any point, but you can lose it and you can lose control. And I think Ward is when you look into year 2, if he loses a tremendous amount of value, you can put yourself into a weird window. So that's not a recommendation. I would just rather stick with someone that's known enough and you can't go full disaster. So I think Love and
especially for your QB, if you're going with your QB1, getting someone young enough that can, solidify, and then you grab a guy like Sanders who has great value at the 11th round, you're still doing well there.
Or if you're grabbing your first QB at 4, you got to be able to look ahead and say, okay, when am I taking my next QB?
I mean,
if it's not at 5, you are looking at the Tua, Fields, Darnold kind of area, right? So it's a mock thing. If you mock enough, you'd know when I take my first and the 4th. I didn't like how it went when I drafted the next one here. So you got to know how to double tap. Like Du Bois, right? I think he kind of knew and done enough mocks where knowing on the way back, I'm taking a quarterback no matter what. Even if he doesn't like Murray, I think he's going there just because he knows it could face disaster later on. I think that's one of those. Give me the cheese. I think that's one of those. If you did this again, I don't think you'd take Ward there. I think you'd rearrange some build picks a little bit. And I think it would fix the middle part of your draft, or at least it would make the middle part of your draft more draftable. So that you can use your knowledge a little bit better, not be forced into weird situations. But I think he probably got put in a few times.
Yeah.
And then Kincaid at 8-2. I think there's some interesting upside there, but without any sort of correlation to a Josh Allen. I do think I would have waited a little bit.
I would have gone Pitts or Kendall.
If you hadn't mocked a lot, I hated the Pitts pick too, right? But when I just look at the board after doing a few more mocks and everything, what I'm finding is usually it's later great with tight ends, kind of the way to go, right? Kincaid's a name, but when if you're Kincaid at 8-2 and you look down, you can get a rookie Ferguson at 13, Strange in the 15th. He went later than he should, right? But in this 12, 13, 14 range, I think you could have gotten similar value. So I think we look a little bit, when you're already punting, just punt harder. I think we needed to shore up something else a little bit more. And we started chasing some weaknesses a little bit early. It's what I used to do a lot of that's why I really fell in love with the Dynasty format. Give me the cheeses. Look, I mean, my bill's ridiculous, right? I can barely field a legal starting team half the time, right? But the whole point was I drafted 3 quarterbacks in a row when I didn't need one. It's just value, right? So I'm going to make 20 trades year one. I'm not going to rip anybody off. It's going to be a good deal, but the team will look a lot different. I think it's more important to draft options to fix your team than to solve your problems in the draft. It's better to draft value to flip into solutions than to draft the solution. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I agree with you. I get it. I mean, for me, like I said, I usually try to draft a team that I think is going to win now. I didn't in this case. I definitely had a lot of different things I could have done. I do like a lot of my picks in certain scenarios, but overall, there were a lot of things I could have done better. And I look at it over and over again to try to figure out the best, route to take. When I look at your team and, look at the options that you had available to you at the time of where you had certain picks, I would have probably gone down different roads around, other than guys like Cam Ward. I'm just not a fan of him. I don't think he's what people think he might be. Yeah, he's the 101. He's definitely the 101, off the board in NFL, but I would have rather gone with a guy a lot later. I would have gone with the Penix. I would have gone with the Bryce Young, in that 5th round or in the 6th round, over the 2 guys that went there. There were definitely other scenarios you could have worked with there. I would have went with maybe Kyron Williams or Trayvon Henderson instead of Ward, and kind of punted the QB a little bit and go quote unquote 0 QB, if you will, because, I like Dutard's, draft a little better in the context of who he was able to get in the rounds that he did. You're running with Goff, you're running with Dak, and he punted a little bit farther. I would have just maybe punted and, like you said, kind of go a little bit later if you could with QB.
Well, the one thing I'll say over, I still would take Ward over Travion, but it's not because I don't love Travion, because I do and I wanted him. It's more that what mistake is more fixable? Quarterbacks have an absolute floor. My example is Will Levis losing his job, couldn't get traded for a 3rd, minimum late 2nd. I mean, and that's a guy who everyone knew was kind of gone, right? He just has that backstop where that backstop doesn't exist for everybody else. So Ward's going to retain that. Like Bryce Young, we buried him, right? What's the take on Bryce Young today? Ooh, I don't know. Last 5 games, PFF loved him, started using his legs, touchdown rate went up, has better weapons, right? Like it took him forever, right? But when you get drafted with that much capital, the team is so damn buried that you've got such a long leash to figure it out. And you've got such a long leash in the trade. I'm saying if you mess it up, there's a better mechanism to recover a dynasty team if you mess up a little bit on Ward versus if you draft Hendy, but you can't use him, you better trade him immediately. Because if you play him out, he's a running back. You're driving the car off the lot. Like you need to own premium running backs in a winning window. If you just have them when you're not winning or your team's you're figuring it out, you got to trade into other things, right? So that's where I think he's got more flexibility with the quarterback because he doesn't have to fix that. And to fix quarterback, you're gonna have to overpay. So like if you had to make a mistake, these are recoverable mistakes.
Yeah,
it's not like I could have done this, so he spiraled a little bit harder.
Whose window do you like more, Johnson or Henderson? Because I personally think that Henderson has a better path.
Travion versus Caleb? Travion for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So,
I mean, Travion's paired up with Drake May for the next, 5-6 years.
Well, but that's kind of where I'm going with it is Henderson has a path to be involved right away. He's going to be involved. He's going to be spelling Stevenson. He's going to be involved in the pass game. I've heard too many comparisons to Monty and Gibbs that it's not even funny on the grouping that is currently there with in New England. I rather have had that at that pick and then taken a guy like Goff.
So you did Travion and Goff Dak over Ward Johnson. That's the idea, right?
Oh yeah, no, and that's the whole point. Like I'm not sold on Johnson. I think he's going to be a very good running back, but he has to. his scenario needs to have Jalen Warren not be around, because as much as they used both running backs in Pittsburgh with Najee there, Warren wasn't Najee, and they were almost doing a 50-50 split. I think Henderson will be a little bit more involved, especially in passing, which would then be a little bit more valuable in full PPR. And I do think he has a longer window to do well in that on that team, especially with Variable there and the way that they do things. I'm telling you, I would rather have Henderson and then go with someone like Goff or Penix or Young. I would have loved Young. Trey Henderson, my bad. I thought it was Travion. But I'd rather have had a guy like Penix or Young at the Johnson pick.
It's a good if then. I think it's good exercise. Honestly, I think Gimme would probably agree with us. If he knew who was available when they were available,
of course.
I think probably.
This is all.
I think the real thing for me is
Monday morning quarterback looking at it after the fact.
Well, because we got look at a bigger tier though to make it more plausible. So would you still have that with like Goff, Dak, Penix, and Young, that entire range? Would you rather do that like with Travion versus the other way?
Say that again. I'm sorry. I was reading.
Hendy, right? Hendy
Okay.
plus Goff, Dak, include Bryce and Penix. Would you rather do Hendy and Penix Young versus Ward Caleb? Assuming, like, what if there's a bigger quarterback run and you're left with Young or Penix instead of Dak Goff?
Yeah,
I think it's close.
I'm still going Henderson.
I think it's pretty close. I can't say it's a big mistake either way, but I get the idea. If you have zero quarterbacks into the fourth round, I get the like, oh boy, how's this going to go? Like, it worked out for Victorious, though, I think is the idea, right? Who he took the running back instead of going with.
That's kind of my point.
And then the next 2 rounds, it kind of worked out. So that's the example. Is it worked out for Vike? Could it work out in general? I think it could.
Yeah. Yeah, and Vike was saying he had the exact same build, and sometimes that's not a good thing either, because when you have the same build as somebody, it kind of takes away from what you're trying to do, and sometimes you want to be different, like you were with the 0 RB build. In this case with the 0 QB build, it's not a horrible build to do in these scenarios. I've seen it go both ways. Actually, to be fair, for the last few years doing SuperFlex and Dynasty, it's been really odd to see the change. So, I mean, hold on. So,
no, he's right there.
Pierce goes, "No, you're right. I was picking which guy I'd rather have between Trey and Caleb. I just call him Trey." Oh, yeah, okay, my bad.
You're good there. Honestly, I can give you a couple more here real quick, just because I want to get to some other teams. We might even have to call it, because it's been I could talk fantasy all day.
We both can, but I'm getting tired.
Here's what just pick for pick. Won't go into super heavy critique. Yep. Right. Punt a little bit more on the Kincaid pick. I think I would have easily gone either Monty or Pearsall in particular. Pearsall, you're just done at wide receiver. Monty, you can forget about running back, and you don't have to take Pacheco later. So I think that's just a spot where it's all ugly, but I'm going to go with the pick that makes the later picks easier.
If anything, I would have went Kittle there.
Or Kittle over Kincaid. I would do that too. Going under the Godwin pick at 10-2, and I'm nitpicking. So don't take this the wrong way. This is just, if you're asking, like, hey, here's my thoughts. What would you do straight up different pick for pick?
I would have went Adams over Godwin.
If I'm at the 12-2 and I'm looking at my draft, look, I'm just being honest. I think at 10-2, Perk, I don't think you were loving where you were at, right? Don't chase the win when you're already this ain't going great.
Perk was 1-5. You're talking about Gimme.
I'm talking about Gimme.
Got it.
Love you too, though. Perk talking there. Sorry, yeah, the chat versus the board we're reviewing, right? Thank you, Mike, for getting me back on track there. Instead of Godwin, I'm going a lot of different directions there, just because I know I don't think I'm winning this year, and I need to start building for the future immediately, because I think I need some guys that will be good trade assets at the end of the year if it doesn't go super well, that can appreciate. And I think Godwin, he'll be a good trade away midseason to a contender, but he might not retain enough value. So I like going potentially even Milrow there as a real high end dart throw, or I like Downs there, just as Downs is 23, is going to be around for a long time. I like that a
Yeah.
little bit. Like Godwin versus Downs, I think they'll be within 2.5 PPR points, but one guy's got a career left, right? And
Yeah,
it gives
no,
you
you're right.
options. Don't close down your options. Godwin closes down your options. It forces you into too many trades. You've got to trade a lot of players if your team goes sideways. You can hold more players if they're younger, in case the whole league's like, dude, we all know you're going to trade players, so we're all going to collectively say no for about a week. Because that can happen in Dynasty when you
that
see a
happens
rough
all the time.
roster. Right. Shador, amazing pick. Amazing pick at 11.
Yeah, I
That
love
really
it.
started turning things around. And I would change some of the late round dart throws, but that's super personal preference. I don't think I would overly critique that because there's some nuanced stuff there. There's always a good take, but that's what I would slightly change. Let's see in the next mock. Let's do a little bit different. Honestly, I don't like the 111 this year. I don't like the turn this year as much. So if you don't draft in the turn a lot,
I'm liking this 8-9 spot a little bit more. The more I look at it over and over again, give me that cheese goes. Yeah, I got to go as well. Thank you for the draft.
Was that helpful, Gimme? Definitely. Let us
hopefully,
know.
hopefully
we
we're
try to
helpful.
We don't do everything. We don't do everything right, as I mean, pissed off some people in the chat already. But if we do anything, we love this game. We're pretty good at it, but we really want to be a men of the people, I'd say, Mike. So if you guys want to get deep, we only got 20, 30 people watching, which means we can give you all that we got. We don't got 1,000 people to get to. So.
Well, we did, and I did want to kind of mention some before we got out of here. If you guys ever have any questions, you can always reach out to us on our socials. This is mine. That is Kendall's for X. So that, well, at least the FF Tavern part is. It's Kendall.
You'll find
FF
me.
Tavern.
It's not
You'll
hard.
find them. But if you ever need us and want to reach out, don't hesitate. You can use this particular chat. I can also do Sleeper as well. This is the same handle, just with underscores in between.
You could also find us.
Oh, yes. No, I was going to bring that up next. We just started a brand new Discord for those that are new. This is our Discord. So those in the chat that want to be a part of it, we just started up the last couple days. I'm still kind of tweaking it a little bit, but if you guys want to get in and join, there's the join. Definitely make sure to get yourselves in there. We're going to be moving everybody from our Sleeper channel into our Discord because we want everybody in there. We'll
we get it. The Discord's
more.
a better version of it. And Mike and I are working on. We do our group chat, going over anyone that sends us a trade idea or anything. We go ham on it, and we really enjoy that when you guys do it. It's fun. And so now with the Sleeper channels, so much easier, you guys, to submit your, what do you think about this trade, right? What do you think about this idea, right? And so that's keepers, that's dynasty, all the little individual formats. And again, because we're not famous or anything yet, we can hop in there and answer literally every question every single day. And I don't see why we wouldn't, because we love this game. We love you guys. So definitely get in there. More importantly than just getting in there is ask us some questions, right? Be selfish as you want to be, and comment on other people's takes. Be nice, be respectful, but let's build it's a really solid draft community. I would put any of you guys up against any good player on the street. You're going to tear them up in the draft streets. I guarantee it. But it's because we talk a lot and we share what we're thinking. So we're really excited to hopefully try and make this a little bit of a bigger thing. I'm really looking forward to diving in deeper with Mike on some of this. So give us a shot, stick with us, hop into Discord, and we hope to have a lot of fun there and give a lot back, since you guys have given us a lot.
For sure. And for those that are watching currently or watching in the next day or two, it's in the description as well. If you guys wanted to click a link, it's right there. It's just, if that's easier for you, it's right there. I put it in the description for you guys to join. So don't hesitate, get in there. There's a bunch of channels for you guys if you need it. Like I said, I'm going to keep adding to it and tweaking.
Let us know what we're missing too.
Yeah. We're always open for criticism,
people.
as you could see during the particular show. So, believe me,
maybe we're not. Maybe we're assholes. I don't know.
Dude, I'm not the smartest person in the world. I am all here to take criticism. So it is what it is. I'm not always going to be right, and I will be the first to admit it. So, overall, thank you guys. We really do appreciate you guys coming out. Thanks everybody that drafted. We really do appreciate you guys. Bro, Cal, Bravery, KJ, John, good old Raven Show, Kendall, of course, Mike, Wicked Palm, Kevin Coleman. Thank you again, my friend. Make sure, like I said before, if you guys haven't already, make sure you guys check out the Debbie Royale on YouTube. Make sure you guys subscribe to his channel. Look him up on X. He's same thing. The boys, you'll find him. He's not hard to find. And then give me the cheese and Duarte. Thank you so much, everybody. Make sure you guys just keep an eye out keep an eye out in the Discord. I will be posting the drafts each week in the Discord as well. I'm going to still do it in the sleeper one just because we're still going to try to be grabbing people out of there. Soon we'll be out of there completely. But for now, I'm going to do it in both. And then I'm also going to be posting it on X as well. Anytime I'm out there, I will also try to do it on Blue Sky as well for those that are involved in Blue Sky. So I will have it everywhere so that people can get in. I want to get as many people in here as possible and, get you guys mocking as soon as you can. You can also post mocks in there. I've made a mock draft room for you guys to throw mocks in there. If you guys just want, need people, hopefully we'll grab
It's a nice degenerate community of mock drafters. I have been known to dude, I got a couple minutes. Like I know I'm working.
Well, I'm in a big group of mock people that are constantly texting me mock stuff. So if anyone ever needs it, just let me know. And I can get you guys in there. But otherwise, check those things out. And yeah, I mean, it's Memorial Day weekend. Everyone be safe. Please be safe out there. For those that are drinking and all, make sure you guys, don't drink and drive. Make sure you guys
be nice,
be safe, enjoy yourselves, but responsibly, of course. Hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. Kendall, I hope you have a wonderful trip with your kids.
Oh, I'm gonna send some fishing pictures, man. I'm just gonna load up the whole media library in StreamYard here with just pictures of fish, man. It's gonna be dope.
I'm going to be doing absolutely nothing. So enjoy your time doing that. I hope everyone out there is going to have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. I hope to see you guys all next week. We will be back next week doing another mock draft. We're going to change it up for everybody as always. So make sure you guys check us out. We're going to be doing Scott Fishbowl drafts.
Yeah.
Once we
Mike's
get
going to New York. I'm in Chicago.
Exactly. But once we get the settings, we're going to start doing some Scott Fish stuff. So,
dude, I can't wait. I want to win this tournament so bad.
Always.
First year in, 1 win. It's bat 1,000.
And if you guys haven't checked out Scott Fish, make sure you guys do on X. They are always looking for people. They have races every day. Check out Fantasy Cares on YouTube. They do races to give you opportunities to get into the Scott Fish Bowl. It's a huge charity league for those that don't know.
It's the funnest charity league.
Oh my God. It is one of my
such
favorite.
A dope community of people that they care in all the right ways. They play for fun, but they're also really good at the fantasy. You know what I mean? It's such a sick community.
And you get to play against some of the best in the leagues that are out there. Matthew Berry plays in this league. Michael Fabiano, who's going to be at my New York City live draft. There are who else is it? Kevin and I know is in it. I know that any guy that you probably follow other than us, which you don't have to, but a lot of those guys out there, even the footballers, are involved in one way or another. So you can always face these guys in these particular charity leagues, and it's always a good time. And they always interact and talk with you guys and those particular leagues. So it's really fun to get the community together. So for those that aren't in it, check it out. It's
Scott. If you want to know more, hop in Discord.
I'm gonna put
most
a whole
of the
thing
people
in there.
here are gonna help you understand and walk you through it and all the stuff.
And I'm gonna set up a Scott Fish one once they get started. And I'll put links in there and all that stuff for you guys to be able to check them out if you haven't already. They have great merchandise. This year is basically sports teams, so there's all different types of sports stuff that they're doing and
best way to give to charity. Buy stuff you're already gonna buy.
I buy every year.
They just give more of the profits to charity than anybody else. So
Toys for Tots.
Buy a dope shirt or a hat,
Yeah, they go out and they give out for Toys for Tots and a couple other places. So make sure you guys check them out if you haven't already. Make sure you guys also follow Kevin. Make sure you guys follow us and subscribe if you haven't already.
Please.
We'll see you guys next time. I hope everyone has a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. And like I said, be safe. We'll see you all soon. Later.
Play some music.
Wanted to white fantasy is the play. Marking nothing, but I tune every Friday. Strategies provided.